Okay, we should be live now. Cool, so good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone, wherever you are. So for these hangouts, I'm covering up for Dan. He's not around, our regular host. He's on some well-deserved vacations for now. And okay, so in the agenda, we have I will do some updates on the Open Trials project, what we have been doing in the last few weeks, and also Adria will talk about a little bit about the CCAN migration to Flask and how that's going on, and hopefully we can hear from Adam about the Open Spending next, and as usual, anybody's free to join and talk about any project they have working about. Adam, is it best to you to talk now or talk later? Adam?
Yeah, I'll try and.
Yeah, later. Yeah, never mind. No worries, no worries. Okay, so I'm Vitor. I'm for with the Open Trials project. I'm the current tech lead. Just a small round of introduction. We mostly, I guess we all know each other, but it would be good to, like, Michael, could you tell again, like, who you are briefly, what you're working on?
Hi everybody. Michael Liao here from Sina Project from Malaysia, where we're actually funded a bit by open spending. So we the project I'm working on is actually so we're getting the local budget data from Malaysia, which in the constrained environment is pretty hard to get. So we have been trying to scrimp around our PDFs and trying to get those to Excel sheets and things like that. So with the alpha coming in, we'll probably be uploading more and more of the data. So again, that's another sort of a test point for the open spending software. Myself, I come from a technical background, so we have other projects where we have. I'm not sure if you're familiar with like the Popit and Populous. Specification for people and organizations. So we actually have a few other sort of projects. So the project I'm working on is sort of like trying to do a dashboard of joining together these various data sets. So for example, we actually have a sort of like what's this from my society, the Fix My Street kind of platform. So you can say, okay, if I click on a particular issue, I might want to say, okay, pull the budget from this particular local council. So I'm trying to sort of do a join of the two sort of data together. And I've been trying to learn JavaScript ES6, and together with the open spending sort of component written in Angular. So I'm trying to learn Vue.js as well. So I've been working on sort of like porting over some of the components, the Babbage UI components over to Vue.js as I guess a different bindings. So so I've been asking a few questions on Gitter, but yeah, it's a learning process for me. Nice thing is the current Babbage UI is quite fairly modular. So but yeah, we've been looking at Adam's code to try to extract some of the logic. I'm not trying to replicate the whole OS next because we work together. So, but my idea is that with the dashboard kind of stuff, they can see like a high level overview, and then maybe when they click on link, okay, click on to go here to OS next for further like drill down and analysis kind of stuff. So I actually wanted to do a demo, but I didn't really get far enough to have a nice screenshot kind of stuff. So hopefully when I get a bit further, I can share a bit more. So
cool. That would be amazing. Okay, Friedrich, I'm not sure if you have a microphone now.
I do have a microphone, but I also have an office full of people around me that I don't want to harass. So just to say hi, I'm Friedrich. I'm kind of, I don't know, hanging around, working on data journalism stuff.
Cool. Adria?
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Cool. So yeah, I'm Adria. I work for Open Knowledge. Different projects, but mostly around SIGAN. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm currently just working on internal SIGAN course.
Cool. Adam, I will introduce you because I guess you're a bit busy right now. So Adam is the current tech lead for the open spending team. Oh, I think I muted myself, right?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. So Adam is the current tech lead for the open spending team, and is one of the guys main responsible for these changes we're starting to see on the open spending platform. And Yoik or Loik, hello.
Hi. I'm in a loud room, so I'm disabling my mic.
No worries. Okay, Louis. Hello, Louis.
Yeah. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Louis, could you like briefly 10 seconds introduce yourself?
Yeah. I'm based in Berlin. I'm a data engineer, and I met the whole open knowledge crew at Data Harvest. And maybe I'll be doing some work in the future. So I'm very new. I've been installing a couple of packages today, and basically.
Cool. So, okay, let's start. Yoik, could you? Yeah, got it. Brilliant. So, Adria, are you able to go first? Or?
Sorry. Yes. I can go first. Do you want me to talk about the class migration for SIGAN?
Yes, or whatever else you find interesting, like to share.
Cool. So I'll be brief because I also have a kid running around. So at any moment he can storm on this room and start shouting. So there are lots of things going on in terms of SIGAN development. And for those who don't know, SIGAN is like an open source open data publishing platform that was kind of initially fostered by the Open Knowledge and now is kind of run by the community. It empowers sites like data.gov or data.gov.uk and a lot of open data portals in Germany, Brazil, and lots of other countries in the world. There's a lot of stuff going on around development for SIGAN, and there are new libraries and extensions for cloud storage that just recently announced this week, and there's work around making the search backends more modular and stuff like that. But one kind of big piece of work that my colleague Brooke at Open Knowledge and me have been focusing on recently is on migrating the underlying web framework that it's using from Pylon, which is an old deprecated Python web framework, to the more modern alternative, which in this case is Flask. And this has gone. We started working on that around a couple or 3 months ago, just basically not doing any actual work, just having an audit and some proof of concepts about the best way to approach it. We're now at the moment where we can start sharing our findings and start doing work. So perhaps to help a little bit, I think I can share my screen, right? Let me just quickly try to share my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. So I just want to show some slides. I won't go through the whole presentation. Through some slides that I presented a while ago for actually the funders for this piece of work. Essentially, the approach that we've been following, I will switch directly to the graph, which is the nice thing. The approach that we've been following was not to do like a clean migration, because that it was too big a task, and we didn't have the resources, and we didn't want to be supporting two forks of Sican that were very different and that will break a lot of the existing extensions. So the approach that we follow is to have a small middleware on top of the stack that for each incoming request decides whether if it can be handled by Flask or by pylons. So that allows us to migrate small sections of the code one step at a time. So essentially the controllers, which are kind of the ones that handle the incoming requests and call the underlying layers of like the model or the render templates and stuff like that, these can be moved one by one from pylons to Flask, and that allows us to reuse as many of the underlying logic as possible, underlying layers as possible, and not having to do it all in one go. So that has worked quite well. We have, so the app dispatcher, it's already merged into master, and we are starting migrating the first controllers. Of course, it's not that easy. It's not that trivial. There are a lot of stuff which is shared among both applications. So even if you are executing like a Flask view, there's stuff like the request or config objects which are exposed both by Pylon and Flask. So we need to provide a transparent interface for both of these. So it doesn't matter whether you're using a request from Pylons or Flask. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be rewritten into in terms of interactionalization or caching and stuff like that. In most cases, it's just upgrading to more modern alternatives, because the stuff on Sican had been left behind a bit, because it was, as Pylon was deprecated, it wasn't updated. So, and in a lot of cases, it's just updating to the modern Flask alternative. In some cases, like on the routing, the changes between the two are too different, so we will have to break some form of compatibility, but we're trying to minimize those. And another kind of layer of complexity is that one of the main advantages of Sican is that it's very customizable, so there are a lot of extension points and plugin hooks and stuff like that. So on each change, we need to make sure that we are not breaking too much compatibility with existing extensions. So that's what the main of the challenges. So I won't go into too much more detail. What I will point to is to this wiki page, which I will just paste now or in a second into the chat, which is the place where we are writing up all our findings and the roadmap and our plan for it. And actually, we just finished writing down this stuff today. There are still some couple of sections that we need to fill in, but we will circulate that among the Sican mailing list and the IRC, asking for feedback for people with more experience with Flask or in general this kind of migrations for large code bases. So it's a long read, but if you're interested in this kind of stuff, I would love to hear what you think about it.
Cool. I don't know about you other guys, but I have a couple of questions. First of all, like, what would happen with the existing extension? Like, what's the migration path for an extension?
So extensions have use several different interfaces offered by Sican to modify different parts of the code. Actually, on this wiki page towards the end, there's a list of all the interfaces and the ones what we think that will be affected by the migration. In some cases, there are no effects because they are extending lower levels, like the authorization layer or the model. So it doesn't matter what framework is handling the request, so that won't be affected. In some others, like for instance, for adding new routes, of course it will affect that. And that particular one, we don't have a clear drop-in substitution, so you'll have to rewrite a bit your extension code. But we have already started writing the upgrading guidelines for that. So we're trying to minimize those anyway.
Cool. And did you guys analyze or so, like a few months or years ago, I'm not sure, there was this tool from GitHub to do this kind of migration where you have basically two different, like a router that routes requests to two different paths, one with the old code and one with the new code, and for these two specific, it would like check the results of the requests and see if there's anything, if they're the same result or if they are different results. And do you know what I'm talking about?
Was it called Scientist or something like that?
Oh yeah, Scientist. Yeah, that's it.
I've heard about this. Yes. It sounds like it could be useful on this case. I mean, we haven't looked at using it for now, but we can definitely have a look.
Cool. Anyone else would like to ask other questions? You can ask on Twitter as well if you're not on the Hangout itself but listening. Okay, if not for now, Adam, can you? Oh, and Gitter, yeah, that would be the best place actually. Adam, are you able to talk?
Yes, I would be delighted. So hello everyone. My name is Adam. I'm the tech lead of OpenStanding in Open Knowledge International. I didn't hear if Vitor did a proper introduction, but if he did, I'm sure it was excellent. So a couple of days ago, we launched OpenSpending Next, the alpha version. It has been ready for, I think, maybe a month now, but we fixed a few bugs and polished the blog post, and now it's finally out in the open. And I think that from the last time that I updated in this respectable forum, there have been a few changes, which I'd like to show. I'll try to share my screen. Let's see if that works. So 1 second. So can you see my my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Great. So sort of explain everything about open spending. I guess that most of you know, but if not, then I'll be happy to. I just want to show sort of two interesting features that we have. One is called the DataMine, which is the open spending name for sort of an analytics system that we put in place in order to do in-depth analysis of budget data. So, so this is the viewer. Okay, this is where you get to after you upload a data set to open spending, and let's choose, I don't know, okay, Boost Moldova. So the basic idea here is that the viewer allows you to do any kind of simple query and simple visualization. For example, let's say a tree map. But often this is not enough. Sometimes you want to do a deeper analytics query of the data. And for that, we added the DataMine, which is based on a system called Redash. Here I just opened it. Okay. So, hold 1 second. עוד רגע, מומה. עוד רגע אני אבוא לראות. לעזור לך, בסדר? תבקשי מעל שתעזור לך עם זה? תפתוח לך?
לא, אבא.
לא, אבא עסוק עכשיו. אלמה, תעזרי בבקשה לדריה. Okay, so what you can see here is that we opened an interface that automatically shows you an SQL query that does a very simple query of the data. So this just is a select everything from the database table with a limit 10, and you can see down here the results. Obviously, you can run any SQL query that you want. You have the database schema right here on the left side, so you know which fields are available to you. So, for example, I don't know, let's see, click around the query. And at some point we'll get the results.
While that runs, can you talk a little bit about the technical aspects of that? You are
Yeah, sure. So Redash is basically an interface for a database. So it can connect to any kind of database or almost any kind of database. It can be an SQL database and some in graph databases and Elasticsearch. I mean, it's just sort of a front end for databases. And the basic idea for Redash is that you write the query is public. You can see queries that were made by other people. And if you like a query or you want to modify it, you can fork it sort of GitHub style and create modifications. And this way, queries on the data are improved or the knowledge is shared in a way. So this is taking way too long, but let's try to cancel it. Okay.
And for security purposes, you are like
yeah. So this is a read-only
user.
Yeah, read-only user for the database. Yeah, so here we simplify the query and it really returns quickly. But basically, it's running on your database instance. I mean, it's not doing anything, any logic or any parsing of the query on its own. So let's call this functional specifications. Budget, and let's say we modify this. And we'll do a group by. And this is a sort of query that you basically can do with Babbage. I mean, sorry. It's weird. Okay, so this kind of query basically, which shows us the sum of the adjusted amount sorted by in descending way and grouped by the function specification is a very simple query that you can also get from the OpenSpanning API. But if you want to do anything more complicated, like this one, I don't know. So this kind of query is already outside of the scope of Babbage, and sometimes when you do analytical queries, you need that power of SQL. So now we can save the query, and if we I'm sorry for the noise.
No worries, man, and also feel free to stop the presentation if you need. Like,
no, okay.
you have a great excuse.
No, it's okay. Okay, so I saved it. Now I can see all the queries. You can see. Well, currently I'm the only user, so almost the only user. So you can see all the queries. I can search queries that I like. The cool thing is that you have, except an SQL runner, you also have a Python runner, which is basically a sandbox Python environment that can take the results of an SQL query and then do some extra processing on it. Even take results of a few different SQL queries and then process them together, which is kind of nice. And use Python libraries that are usually not available in SQL.
Cool. And these Redash software is like open source. You just need to point it to a database, and
it's completely open source. You even have ready-made Google Compute engines, Google Compute Engine images, and AWS. And AWS images that you can just use and run and get a running instance really quickly. I'll just show you from the admin interface. You can add. You have like a very large list of optional data sources that you can add, from BigQuery and Graphite and SQL Server to even Google Spreadsheets and even URLs. You can just take a URL and just download a static file with results, which is sometimes useful.
so it's amazing.
Yeah, so this is really great. In Israel, we're in the Budget Key project, which is a project I run sort of voluntarily in in the Public Knowledge Workshop NGO. We use it all the time. Basically, a journalist will come to us with a question. Journalists will come to us with a question about the budget. Will come to us with a question, and we'll just write the query and then send them the link to the query in Redash, and they will take the data and just use it in a news article, which is quite awesome that they're able to do that. And it also allows, people who are not programmers, just analysts, to work with the data without needing, access to servers and whatnot. I mean, this is a really simple way for analysts to work with the data without really having to know anything about the underlying connection or anything, which is also cool. So yeah, so that's basically what I wanted to show about open spending, given the time and sort of the ability for me to keep my kids quiet. So if there are any questions, I'll be happy to take.
Adam, does this Redash thing support MDX, since the backing store is cubes, right? Or is it,
sorry, what is it? Does it support?
does it support MDX? I think that's usually the standard for all these the cubes, the slicing and dicing, right? The Microsoft standard, I think. MDX, right?
MDX, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But it's super easy to add more drivers. I mean, they're just adding them as requirement comes, because again, it's a very the interface is very simple, because you just have a sort of a query which can be in any language, and then just need to connect it to a data source with a connection string. So the drivers are very simple to implement, but I know that and lots of the drivers are actually coming from the community, because some need to connect to a SQL server and some need to connect to another kind of database. So they're just adding it as requirements comes. We actually considered adding to Redash a connection for querying on a triple store, an RDF triple store, because this is something that's being used in the Open Budget CU project that Open Spending is a part of. So basically, if there is a Python library that implements the connection, then it pretty much it's 90% of the work.
Cool. Should be able to also easily add one for CCAN, the data store, right?
Yeah, it shouldn't be hard.
Brilliant.
Cool.
Does anyone else has any more questions?
And then just one more question for the open spending. I noticed that there's like an embedded mode. Do we have like a best practice on how you're supposed to embed it, or do we just have to have an iframe which is not very flexible?
Yeah, so basically right now the best solution is iframes. I mean, you can sort of have an iframe that takes up the entire screen, but it's not really flexible, I know. And you can embed visualization and even the entire viewer, the entire viewer for a specific data set. But no, I mean, there's currently no real alternative to iframes, I'm afraid.
Okay, so no sample code for sort of like is a bit more reactive in terms of if the screen becomes smaller for mobile apps, then it adjusts on that. Do we have any
no,
samples?
but again, I mean, you can take the OS viewer code and just host it yourself in an embedded mode, which is more well, it's more difficult, but it's more flexible. You can make any modifications you want, and basically it just gives you anything you want, and you don't need anything. That's the power of open source, I guess.
Cool. So yes, thanks a lot, Adam. I guess it's very cool to see what you guys are working on. Open Spanning is one of my favorite projects around here. So yeah, congratulations for you and the team.
Thanks. So I'm back to listening mode, but if there are any questions, I'm still here.
Sure, thank you. So moving on, I'd like to show a little bit of what we've been working on for this other project, these open trials. I'm gonna try to share my screen now. Just a second. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see my screen. Okay, so Open Trials is this project that we have been working on for a few, like in development for a few months, but in spirit for a few years now. That's the idea, is to aggregate all metadata about clinical trials that were conducted anywhere, anytime in the world. And like so, a doctor could see what his research has been done in a specific area, or a patient could see what research has been done in a condition that she has, or anything like that. So this is our main website that we are basically just showing and talking about the project. And this is the development side that we are working on. That's not public yet because we have lots of stuff to do around data cleaning and gathering data and making sure we are presenting, what data we are presenting is correct. But you can go to explorer.opentrials.net and look around. Just keep in mind that this is a beta stage. Okay. So here you see we have the search functionality. That's the meat of the project. We are using Elasticsearch in the back end, and you can filter trials around on different values and do some advanced searches with or looking for specific fields or anything. In the last few weeks, what we've been working on is adding more data sources. Okay, so we've been adding more data sources to make sure we get all the data that we can. And we are working on right now on the HRA data. That's data about research summaries that we have here. Oh, this one. Research summaries that we have here in the UK, and also getting data from this other project, that's Epistemonicus, that they have information around systematic reviews that has been done on specific medical conditions or treatments. And we've built an architecture that's quite interesting for our data ingestion pipeline. That we have these collectors, which are the piece of code that actually go and scrape the data or use the API that will depend on the source that we are working on. So each folder here is a source that we're collecting data from. And this goes to our warehouse database, where like this process here is no processing at all. Just try to get the raw data and put in our warehouse database, and from there we use these processors that are the piece of code that are gonna like deduplicate data, normalize data, clean data from this raw state in our warehouse database to moving on to the API. So this API we are like in this level we are working with Node.js and Happy.js and getting the already clean data from the end of this process. So we are like right now we are cleaning a few things and organizing a few things to present this on an event next week. That's Evidence Live. That's going to happen at the University of Oxford. That's an event around evidence-based medicine with researchers, doctors. So it's quite interesting milestone for us. And the current state we are in is like finishing the last few collectors to gather the data so we can start work on the bigger challenges that are actually like deduplicating, normalizing, and making sure we have the cleanest data we are able to. This is we haven't started really started on the cleaning of data, but this is somewhere where we can use some help. For example, here on the Open Trials website, we have filter, for example, for locations. And this was not cleaned yet, so we can see stuff like worldwide, Japan, or Asia except Japan, or British, or Russian Federation. So we need to normalize that kind of location. So we're able to get all the countries with the same names. The same goes to basically all the people and organizations and interventions. There is also this mesh database that we're gonna end up working with later. That's a database around names for drugs. For example, we have the brand name for a drug, but we also have different names that they're called for, so we can use that as a source to normalize our internal database. And we are planning on, like, whenever we can offer our database as a demo for our database and offer it as a challenge for someone that wants to work with us or work around or try their hand on that and to contribute with the project. Also, another way to contribute right now, if you have the time to do so and you want to do that, is by creating some collectors. I'm tagging a few issues here on the Open Trials repository with this help wanted. If you are a bit bored someday or some lazy afternoon, you can come here and see around, and I'll be happy to, like, if there's any questions that you want to ask, I'll be happy to help. So you can contribute. And any questions?
Victor, the questions, I mean, any of your documents that you've dealt with transcript like PDFs and things like that, or is it purely websites and Excel sheets?
Yeah, so far we are mostly working on not working with PDFs yet. We will start soon enough with this FDA data set that is like they have data around drugs that were authorized to be sold in the US, and so we have these huge PDFs with information about these drugs that are quite hard to access, but it's very important information to be shared. We are also starting to get data from PubMed. PubMed is this big data set around publications with the biomedical literature. So, like here, we don't have a UI for this yet, but I'm gonna add it soon. But we can search for trials with linked publications. So we have a trial here that comes from, we have multiple sources for this trial. This is the World Health Organization and these other sources here. And also we are linking publications that were like journal articles that were published about citing this trial. Now we just have the abstract, the authors, like basic information, but this is another challenge that we will have to face in the future of linking publications and articles with the trials. The challenges are like, oh, hey, we have this trial here, and does this trial cite any? No, does this publication cite any trial that we know of? And can we link it to the trial, or what's the issue to that? But this is something we are starting to do now.
Okay, that'll be pretty cool, because I mean, for here in Malaysia, I mean, not to deal with trials, but basically like a lot of our parliamentary data that we try to extract out is all trapped in PDFs. So we've done some work. Mostly it's just on the text basis, more in depth, and there's no that's structural, but it's just pure text kind of stuff, and trying to extract out patterns.
Yeah, we're probably gonna start in a few months to analyze the tools. For example, Document Cloud and Apache Tika are the ones that seems more promising for us for the kind of work that we're gonna do.
Yeah, check out PDF Miner as well. I heard good things about it. I haven't tried it. My tool mostly I use iText, but it's a Java library. So
cool. I'll just took a note. I'll take a look into it after. Thank you. And any more other questions? Okay. So as usual, like feel free to ping me or ping any of us, or go to our GitHub and create an issue, or ping me on Gitter. So anytime. And moving on, I would just wanted to also another call for help here is about the data package library. So we have this data package schema that we're working on around the frictionless data. That's a basic schema, a way to publish data and metadata in a way that's machine readable and standardized and yeah. So for example, we have this organization here on GitHub /datasets that has a few data packages, and just to show you what this looks like. For example, this country code. So the data package, this data package.json, that points to things like, oh, what's this data set, and what's the format, what's the license, what are the sources, and talking the descriptions of the fields of the in this case a CSV file, but can be anything. And so there is this data package Python library. We are working also on a JavaScript line and an R library. But for this Python library specifically, it's working and it's looking good. But the build is failing on Windows. So it would be great if someone had some time to go over the build and and check what the issues are over there, and fix and submit a pull request. There are not many people that work on this and have access to a Windows machine or experience with Windows to work on that. So that would be good. And okay, so we are almost over in our time. Does anyone else want to talk about something or final remarks? No? Okay, so I think you could start finishing now, and it was great that you guys showed up. We like these labs hangouts, if it's this first time someone is working on that, they happen periodically. I think it's the once per month, if I'm correct. So it's just a place that we can go and show what we are working on and ask feedback, ask questions, ask for help, or anything about just trying to build this community of people working in this area of around data and transparency and things like that. So also feel free to join our Gitter channel. We are around there and we can chat. Sounds good. So thanks everyone. Thanks for joining, and see you around. Hopefully next month or on Gitter. Cool.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye guys.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.